Good evening, I'm Andrew Chang. Adrian is away. Tonight, Ukraine's blunt and brutal message. Russia is committing atrocities, and the world seems powerless to stop it. The carnage and chaos left behind. We're inside a town devastated by fighting with those who managed to survive. And can Vladimir Putin be held responsible?
It looks exactly like war crimes.
What justice could look like. COVID's comeback.
The force of this wave, it's spreading very rapidly.
Some provinces hold on to their masks, others open up another booster.
It was immensely difficult.
Also, why an effective COVID treatment is so hard to access in Canada. First, fires, then floods.
They absolutely keep me up at night.
How climate change is driving back-to-back disasters and the ominous forecast for the future. This is The National. For the first time since the war in his country began, the Ukrainian president appeared before the United Nations Security Council and demanded it find ways to stop the war. His message, either step up or shut down.
Пані та панове, чи готові ви до закриття ООН? Чи вважаєте ви, що час міжнародного права минув? Якщо ваша відповідь ні, то діяти потрібно зараз.
That urgency amid allegations of Russian war crimes. As it moves troops out of Ukraine's north, the world continues to recoil from what Russia has left behind. Revelations of destruction and killings of civilians. The atrocities uncovered in the Kiev suburb of Bucha are now widely known. But Margaret Evans traveled about 25 kilometers up the road to Borodyanka, a town so brutalized by war it can barely sustain life.
The people of Borodyanka, the ones still here, live like shadows in the ruins of their own homes. The cold drives them outside for the warmth of an open flame, and what comfort remains in fellowship. There is no electricity here, no connection to the outside world. Borodyanka was one of the first towns hit, and hit hard, in the Russian invasion. We find Tamara Mikolaevna feeling her way through the dark corridors of her apartment building, looking for the 2 rooms she lives in and the 2 cats she cares for. The war started in an instant, she says. My children couldn't get here to take me away. Just as she tells us she doesn't know if they'll come for her now, there is a voice in the dark. Her son. The last time they spoke, it was March 8th. It's not long before she's packed and bundled off in her family's embrace. The army is only now starting to allow access to towns around Kyiv held by the Russians just last week, and there's still a sense of menace on the roads, reminders of how quickly fate can turn, and scenes of battle everywhere. Here, one that the Russians clearly lost. There are a number of Russian tanks and armored personnel carriers here, clearly destroyed. You also see a lot of Ukrainian soldiers going over them, trying to pick through to see if there's anything that they can salvage and use again. Ask the soldiers here if they think Vladimir Putin will try for Kyiv again, and the answer is yes.
Not only Putin, all Russians think Ukrainian must die.
Alexander Barshuk is a lawyer by trade, now a fighter, who says the body of a Russian commander in the tank he's standing on should be a warning.
He is dead, and all Russian soldiers or all Russian officers who will come to Ukraine will be dead.
In Borodyanka, aid has begun to arrive, both food and medicine, much needed help, but it won't dispel the sense of uncertainty and loss. Olga Kulya's son died of COVID during the siege when help couldn't get in or out. It's hard to think of rebuilding with such an uncertain horizon. For now, life remains in the shadows. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Borodyanka.
Now, millions have fled the fighting, some ending up in Ukraine's western city of Lviv, which held a candlelight vigil.
we must remember.
As Salima Shivji shows us, in Lviv, people remember both what they've lost and what they're still fighting for.
Exhausted and traumatized, the journey from eastern Ukraine was excruciating for so many here, now among the more than 11 million Ukrainians displaced from their homes. We ran as the missiles were flying above. We could hear the whistling, Ludmila Daykova says. She made it out of the Kharkiv region with her 94-year-old father. Valentin Harbazov survived the bombs during the Second World War. He says at least the Germans only waged war in the day. The Russians do it day and night. Here there is little faith in ceasefire talks after what they've seen. It's genocide, this woman says. There's no other word for it. She fled Slovyansk in eastern Ukraine with her young son and still doesn't feel safe, with explosions reported in the Lviv area hours after she arrived.
Slovyansk is expected to be the next big target for Russia as its soldiers are redeployed. It's a strategic spot that, if seized, would help link their forces in the eastern part of the country.
Perhaps even more crucial to Russian success after soldiers pulled out of the areas north of Kyiv, like Irpin. A Ukrainian volunteer soldier captured this video for his wife. We're getting out, Yehor Sobolyev says, shelled but safe. The emotions hard to contain as he got a precious few days' leave back home.
Russian escaped from the region, and now I'm here with my beautiful children.
But even while home, he's thinking of his fellow soldiers.
Some friends are in Mariupol, in Kharkiv, so of course I'm very worried about them.
All volunteers who've left their careers behind to fight for their country. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Lviv.
Now, Ukraine's president did take his fight for more help to the United Nations today, and he brought with him disturbing proof of what he says are Russian war crimes. Paul Hunter takes us there, and a warning. Some of the images we're about to show you are very graphic.
The floor to His Excellency Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky, the President of Ukraine.
Volodymyr Zelensky, speaking to the UN Security Council, seemed at times as if he himself could barely believe the cruelty. Some people were shot on the streets, he said, limbs cut off, throats slashed, civilians crushed by tanks for the pleasure of Russian soldiers. Zelensky was describing the atrocities the world has now seen from Bucha. And to underline the horror for the Security Council, he offered this gruesome video with its sobering soundtrack. Women were raped and killed in front of their children, he said, some with their tongues having been torn out. Condemnation was fierce and widespread.
I will never forget the horrifying images of civilians killed in Bucha.
The United States has assessed that members of Russia's forces have committed war crimes in Ukraine.
Zelensky demanded as forcefully as ever that Russia be stopped and held to account. Has the time of international law ended? He said. If the answer is no, then action is needed now. The real question for the Security Council is, what can it actually do? As a permanent member, Russia has veto power on effectively anything. Russia's ambassador to the UN labeled Zelensky's words lies. The Ukrainians, he said, are killing their own people.
For now, from the West, more sanctions, including the U.S. and others now banning all new investments in Russia, with Vladimir Zelensky, meanwhile, predicting more atrocities are yet to be discovered. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Now, there are many who want to see Russian leader Vladimir Putin tried in the International Criminal Court for war crimes, but proving that may not be easy.
It's difficult to prove that Putin ordered that specific bombing, and that's the evidence the prosecutor needs.
We'll speak with a former war crimes prosecutor just ahead about what he thinks the simplest case against Putin could be. Okay, turning now to Canada's COVID-19 story and the surge in cases we've seen after most provincial health measures came down. Only 3 jurisdictions still mandate masking: Nunavut, Prince Edward Island, and Quebec. And Nunavut is expected to drop its mandate soon. But PEI and Quebec don't like the way cases are trending, so they're going the other way, extending those mandates. Quebec has also seen a rise in hospitalizations as the BA2 variant spreads quickly, something that, as Alison Northcott shows us, has been a big driving factor in how that province is choosing to handle the pandemic.
It's the kind of job where you can't keep a distance, so Susan Carter feels safer in a mask.
I'm at definitely a high risk for getting COVID as soon as my mask comes off.
Quebec and Prince Edward Island had both planned to lift mask mandates in the coming days, but with cases rising, the masks will stay until at least the end of the month.
I know some are probably eagerly awaiting the end of that particular protocol. This is something that we need to continue to do.
The force of this wave, it's spreading very rapidly.
Masks were already lifted for children in Quebec classrooms, so the remaining mandates in places like grocery stores and shopping malls are among the last measures in place. Other provinces have already lifted mask mandates.
Je suis en contact avec d'autres dirigeants.
But Dr. Luc Boileau says he's spoken with some public health officials in other provinces who now want to bring them back. Some Quebec doctors had been urging people to keep wearing masks even when the rules relax. Dr. Alison Baker says the government made the right move.
The virus is still circulating and that we have a bigger variant that's even more contagious.
And some doctors worry about what that will mean for vulnerable patients.
If they catch the COVID, it won't be a mild flu. It'll be literally a matter of life and death. So for these people, to see people wearing masks, it's really reassuring to them.
Despite fatigue around pandemic rules, many are still willing to follow them.
We are still in a pandemic period, and we have to take care of us and of other people.
I was looking forward to not having it on, so I gotta say maybe a bit disappointed.
Beyond keeping the mask mandate in place for a little longer, the interim public health director says he doesn't expect to add further public health measures to get through this wave. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
Well, parents are bracing themselves as the 6th wave of COVID-19 moves through schools. In some parts of the country, absenteeism is skyrocketing. And as Deanna Sumanac-Johnson explains, health experts are also looking to masks to help curb the spread.
This Montreal father of 2 is on alert for COVID in his kids' schools again.
As cases are rising, cases are not plateauing, cases are rising. So the worry is that the schools would have to shut.
According to the Quebec Ministry of Education, parent-reported COVID cases in schools have almost doubled during the last week of March. Ontario, which tracks school absenteeism as a sign of a likely COVID outbreak, is also seeing an increase, particularly in northern parts of the province. Toronto District School Board, the biggest in the country, is now notifying parents of all COVID cases reported in their school, not just their child's class.
This was about both streamlining our own process for sending home letters and providing people with greater clarity. As cases start to go up, it does give people a better idea of how many cases are showing up in their schools.
Many experts say the way to slow transmission is by bringing back mandated masks in class, something only 4 provinces and territories still have in place. In New Brunswick, where mask mandates were lifted last month, a group of pediatricians signed an open letter to the province asking it to reconsider.
We're seeing another increase in strain on the workforce, both in education and in healthcare, because of workers either being exposed at work or, in more cases, actually from their own children.
Masking in schools could have helped the situation, certainly. I think it would have helped, but that's not on the table anymore. So we have to deal with what the situation is.
There are no signs so far that any of the provinces that dropped masks in schools plan on bringing them back. But experts say there is something parents can do to protect their kids: vaccinate them. Fewer than half of 5 to 11-year-olds have received 2 doses. Deanna Sumanac-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, today, Canada's top vaccine advisory board offered new guidance, urging second boosters for seniors 80 and older as soon as possible. But some provinces are already aiming younger.
Our medical advisors have recommended that on Ontario that we go to 60 to provide an added level of protection.
More details on Ontario's booster top-up plan are expected Wednesday. Also today, BC announced it will offer fourth shots to those 70 and older as soon as they hit 6 months after their third dose. Well, when the COVID antiviral pill Paxlovid was approved for use among high-risk Canadians back in January, many thought it would be a game changer in the fight against the virus. But only a very small percentage of Canadians have actually received it. Christine Birak explains why.
If anyone should have been able to get Pfizer's antiviral treatment with ease, it's Amy Ferguson.
I am COVID positive. I have rheumatoid arthritis. I'm immunocompromised.
Ferguson was at high risk of ending up in hospital last week. Her doctor said she was eligible for Paxlovid. Then came days of confusion over testing and assessments to get the pills.
I'm hopeful that day 4, maybe, they will allow me access to treatment.
To be effective, Paxlovid needs to be taken within 5 days of developing symptoms, and there's other criteria that varies by province.
I was always concerned that the rollout was going to be challenging.
Experts say the hurdles for patients appear to be seeing a doctor, getting tested, and coordinating with a pharmacy.
We should look to overcome those hurdles in the next couple of months so that we don't undermine the access to this treatment.
And I think really what's going to help too is the antiviral pills.
While easing restrictions, politicians promised Paxlovid would protect vulnerable Canadians, and there's no shortage in supply. Most provinces have been given thousands of courses. Still, BC, Alberta, and Ontario each report dispensing the antiviral to fewer than 1,000 patients.
There is a big payoff to doing this properly.
Studies have shown Paxlovid offers an 89% reduction in the risk of COVID-19 related hospitalization or death against a placebo.
Communicating to patients that it's available, communicating to providers in terms of how to access it, that's the biggest thing.
Quebec has moved to dispensing Paxlovid more easily through pharmacies. Other provinces, including Ontario, now appear to be following suit.
I'm feeling much better.
Amy Ferguson got Paxlovid on day 5. She feels lucky to be sitting at home, taking the antiviral pills, knowing she could have ended up lying in a hospital bed. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, a new study is painting a pretty grim picture of how climate change could play out in parts of North America. In the West, scientists are warning of a future filled with cascading disasters. Renee Filipponi digs into the projections, and this just one day after the United Nations warned time is running out to save our changing planet from catastrophe.
It was a natural disaster that swallowed California neighborhoods in 2018. More than 20 people were killed when heavy storms unleashed mudslides on Montecito. It happened 1 month after the state's most destructive wildfire season.
This is something that is so damaging to communities, so it can, it affects so many people, and it takes so long to recover from these events.
Researchers say climate change is going to make these combination weather events increasingly common. A study published in the journal Science Advances says by the end of the century, post-wildfire extreme rainfall events will increase by up to 100% in California and nearly 700% in the U.S. Pacific Northwest, an area with a similar climate to southern BC. Merritt faced 2 major emergencies last year. First, forest fires put people on evacuation alert in the summer. Then, months later, floodwaters devastated the city.
Part of the reason the flooding was so bad was because that rain fell on slopes that had been weakened because of the heat wave and forest fires.
Hundreds in Merritt are still out of their homes, and reports like that one paint a dire picture for the future.
They absolutely keep me up at night, and I think about them a lot, and so do our citizens, and especially our citizens that are moving back into their homes.
Researchers in BC say this latest forecast is a worst-case scenario, but more needs to be done to prepare for and fight against climate change.
The projections that they have for mid-century, well, those are pretty similar no matter the climate scenario we look at. And so just the fact that we're looking at, maybe a doubling of these heavy rainfall following forest fire events just in the next few decades, that's worrisome enough.
And after a year of unprecedented destruction in BC, worse is not something the region is ready for. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, drought conditions pushed a lot of farmers on the prairies to their limits last year. This growing season, they face another challenge.
Virtually everything we buy has doubled, if not tripled in price over the last 8 to 10 months.
Next, the risks and potential rewards of what could be one of the most expensive crops yet. Plus, the calls to do more to protect Indian students being recruited to study in Canada.
How dare you squeeze the hopes and dreams of a young person?
And a little Back to the Future on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Mr. President, welcome back to the White House, man. Feels like the good old days.
We're back in 2.
Vice President Biden, Vice President. That was a joke.
Sure it was. Former U.S. President Barack Obama was back at the White House today for the first time since leaving office. Obama was there to celebrate 12 years of the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, which helps uninsured Americans get health coverage. Okay, now to Alberta, where rising oil prices should be good news for the province. But as Julia Wong reports, there is a problem. While some oil and gas companies want to ramp up production, they can't because they don't have enough people.
Gary Rowan has worked in the oil and gas industry since last year. Now he's retraining to fill needed spaces within the industry.
I needed a change in pace, a change in scenery and stuff like that.
But attracting new workers has been a challenge.
It's never been this bad.
This company,
this is a telescopic drilling rig,
has for months been struggling to hire about 100 workers who ideally could have started
yesterday. So we're still short, we're still recruiting, we're still training. So it's an ongoing issue that we're dealing with.
It's not just big companies, it's the smaller businesses too. This Edmonton company would like to hire 2 to 3 workers.
It's been a struggle and yes, definitely a challenge. If we had more people here, then of course then your workload gets spread around and you can produce some more.
Alberta is used to boom and bust cycles, but the last recession, which began about 8 years ago, is having lingering effects as workers left to find more stability.
And the pools that we relied on have moved to other occupations, trades, construction, and have found other employment elsewhere, whether in Western Canada or have moved back home to jurisdictions that we had traditionally recruited from, like Central Canada and Eastern Canada.
Alberta Premier Jason Kenney has tried to sell Canadian oil and gas to the world as the war in Ukraine continues. The Association of Energy Contractors says it's seeing some of the best drilling activity in a very long time, and there could be even more rigs if there was the manpower.
You basically have the inability to grow our production. You have the inability to grow the sector.
Until then, it's up to those like Rowan.
It's a good feeling that Alberta is getting back into the oil and gas. This business is starting to boom again.
Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
Well, the double impact of an uncertain economy and the war in Ukraine is also punishing Canadian farmers. Many are facing serious supply problems and skyrocketing costs, and seeding hasn't even begun yet. Here's Bonnie Allen on what they're facing.
Corey Leeson is getting ready to plant his most expensive crop in 30 years of farming. Everything he needs to put seeds in the ground has gone up in price, from fertilizer to fuel to herbicide.
There's no question. Virtually everything we buy for inputs has doubled, if not tripled in price over the last 8 to 10 months.
For example, farmers rely on fertilizer to grow more crop, but the Russia-Ukraine conflict has disrupted the supply chain. So while Leeson paid $400 a ton for nitrogen fertilizer last year,
this year we paid $800 a ton, and currently it's sitting at around $1,200 or so. So that's the sort of, a threefold increase from what we grew last year's crop with.
many farmers anticipated a surge in prices and tried to buy early, but After last year's drought, cash flow is limited, and some supply chain issues are difficult to predict.
Like, if my tractor breaks down, am I going to be able to get the parts to fix it? I think that's a concern.
The risks are high, but the payoff could be too. There are record high prices for canola, wheat, and other commodities. So if farmers can produce even an average crop, they may be able to cash in.
The problem is if we don't grow a crop. The problem is if we have the yields that we had last year, you know, as Canadian farmers, there's going to be a lot of broke farmers. And that's not for lack of trying. I mean, we can't control the weather.
Corey Leeson says he accepts the risks of farming. The conflict overseas puts it all in perspective for him.
I'm stressed about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, in particular for the Ukrainian people. That's a stressful situation. Here we've got some challenges, and we can deal with those challenges.
Spring is always a time of optimism, even when the stakes are higher than ever before. Bonnie Allen, CBC News, Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan.
Well, with images of horrifying brutality coming out of Ukraine, the push for a war crimes prosecution is ramping up.
I have to be very careful with my wording, but it looks exactly like war crimes.
Up next, how a case could be brought to court against Vladimir Putin. Plus,
how dare you squeeze the hopes and dreams of a young person into your bottom line?
From India to Canada, the big business of international students and the allegations of shady practices. Welcome back. After the horrible discoveries in Bucha, Ukraine, when Russian troops pulled out, of what appears to be civilians shot dead in the streets, calls are getting louder to bring Russia's leader to trial for war crimes, including Vladimir Putin. David Common takes us through what that could look like, and we want to warn you, this story does contain graphic video.
As sickening as the scenes may be at what appears to be a massacre outside Kyiv, all this is a gruesomely rich source of evidence for war crimes investigators. Hundreds of bodies, including a man with his hands bound behind his back, shot dead. Apparent civilians doing the most mundane things, riding a bicycle, buying groceries. These would seem to be the very people the laws of war are intended to protect.
I have to be very careful with my wording, but it looks exactly like war crimes.
And then there's the theater in Mariupol, where hundreds took refuge, writing children in Russian on the sidewalk out front before it was bombed. In war, civilians are not supposed to be targeted. So who is accountable when they are? Many are quick to point to the top, to Putin himself.
You may remember I got criticized for calling Putin a war criminal. Well, the truth of the matter is so it happened in Bucha. This warrants him, he is a war criminal.
But to hold Putin responsible is very tricky. You need indisputable proof.
The problem here is it's difficult to prove that Putin ordered that specific bombing. And that's the evidence the prosecutor needs. The prosecutor needs evidence that Putin himself did it.
Luis Moreno Ocampo spent years as a war crimes prosecutor at the International Criminal Court.
If you like to really prosecute Putin, the most clear crime is forced displacement. And there are 10 million people displaced in Ukraine today. So that obviously is a consequence of the strategy. And as you say, Putin absolutely was involved in the strategy.
A quarter of Ukraine's population has fled. The war crime of forcible displacement, says Ocampo, may be the simplest case against Putin. Connecting him to attacks like this on the maternity hospital in Mariupol, where a wounded pregnant woman holds her belly, came to symbolize Russian atrocities in Ukraine. All of this is far more challenging to prove without informants inside the Kremlin. The woman died, so did the baby. Russia claimed, as it has repeatedly, that this scene was staged. And there were no moms, no nurses here at the time of the bombing. They said radical Ukrainian soldiers were using that site.
What's important is to punish not only a low-level perpetrator, soldier, but a commander who enabled such behavior or did not prevent it.
Katerina Bosol, a Ukrainian lawyer, says the war crimes investigations now underway, potentially compiling a case against individual soldiers, their commanders, or political masters, should also be looking at sexual violence. And she believes Putin has tacitly condoned rape on the battlefield.
Shortly before the invasion, he used the words from a song in Russian, which would translate is "My beauty, it's your duty." I found that completely alarming, that the head of state is using a quotation which has a rape connotation in its comments about the country, about Ukraine.
The laws of war are broken all the time. Justice hard to come by.
We need to get to the truth, and that will be the foundation of deciding if crimes are committed, and if so, who is responsible. And we take it step by step, but we need to act with some urgency and with some focus.
It took more than a decade for the ICC to indict and capture Slobodan Milosevic. He died in a cell before sentencing.
It's a case where there is a multiplicity of evidence from different sources.
The first ICC trial for war crimes in Sudan started today. That's nearly 20 years later, and it's not even for Omar al-Bashir, the former president of the country, who still roams free. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad stands accused of using chemical weapons against civilians. He remains in power. Russia doesn't even recognize the International Criminal Court, neither does Ukraine or China or the U.S. That court also won't conduct a trial unless the suspect is present. And there's little chance of Russia handing anyone over. David Common, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, tens of thousands of students from India come to Canada every year, often paying a big price for the promise of a better life.
It is tough to leave our family here, but we need to sacrifice something to get something.
Coming up, the allegations against those who would seek to profit from their hopes and dreams. Plus, packing up history piece by piece, the uncertain future of a New Brunswick museum. Welcome back. After being stalled by the pandemic, the flow of foreign students from India to Canada is once again picking up steam. So too are the stories of frustration and isolation. As Salima Shivji reports, from allegations of shady practices to a lack of support and oversight, many students arrive here to find that the reality is very different from the dream they were sold.
The billboards are everywhere, inescapable, crammed into every corner of this square in India's Punjab state, screaming out the new immigrant dream. Inside one of the countless education consultant firms, a steady bustle. Potential students with their sights set on Canada.
My visa letter, that visa is granted.
At home, 19-year-old Banti gets his papers in order. His childhood dream to study in Canada is days from coming true.
I think that life becomes better and it's easy for and I like to get my parents to their new country. So that's why Canada.
But his excitement is tempered by nerves, thinking about the younger sister and parents he'll leave behind.
It is tough to leave our family here, but we need to sacrifice something to get something.
It's hard to quantify the sacrifices. Bunty's father, Kuldeep, works 18-hour days as a tailor, saving every penny, and still he had to borrow from family and friends to send his son abroad. I feel tense and worried, he says. I've worked so hard. I hope it's worth it. I hope my son will do well. It's a dream for many here in rural Punjab, where a student visa is seen as a way out of this life, a chance for a brighter future. Tens of thousands of Indians head to Canada every year, and the number keeps growing. After a pandemic-induced dip in 2020, last year more than 170,000 Indians received study permits from Canada, a more than five-fold jump in the past decade. It's big business, selling a path to permanent residency, which is what the vast majority of students want, this education consultant says.
So their first question is, before asking which course they want to go, before asking which university is the best for them. So the first question is that whether I will get a permanent residency or not.
With the crush of people wanting to study abroad and the maze of education consultant companies in an industry this big, there are also sub-agents, students say, who use shady practices, faking documents, pushing students to the wrong schools, telling students they owe more in tuition and fees, only to pocket the rest.
These students, all at different stages of the application process to study in Canada, have heard the horror stories.
So many people are fake and cheat with the people.
They are spoiling many people's life, I think, because many people from poor family are funding them.
The main issue, a lack of oversight. Agents get commissions from both public and private colleges in Canada, which want the massive sums foreign students bring in.
There is no regulation in India, so everyone who wants to run an immigration business, he or she can run an immigration business. So everybody is getting his or her share.
After 21 years of guiding Punjabi students to colleges abroad, Sarabjit Singh says these days the game has changed.
They don't see the student is eligible for the visa or not. They just take the money.
With sketchy agents looking to make a quick buck. He also says Canada falls short compared to countries like Australia in policing the quality of education some private colleges are offering. And the pain falls on the students, far from home and vulnerable. There has been some effort to monitor the schools. In late 2020, Quebec briefly suspended 10 colleges to investigate questionable recruiting practices and found shortcomings. Several of the schools later filed for creditor protection, and students reported being pressured to pay their tuition fast.
So they don't want to tell anyone about their problem.
Stories like that are endlessly frustrating for Gurpreet Malhotra, who runs a community group in the Peel region outside Toronto.
How dare you squeeze the hopes and dreams of a young person into your bottom line to support the inefficiencies of the rest of your system?
He sees a blatant cash grab that compounds the stress on students navigating a new life, often in tiny, cramped apartments.
Between the federal and provincial governments, the system has been set up with enough wide gaps between them that people are falling through.
Malhotra's group works mainly in Brampton, a hotspot, with a cluster of dozens of colleges tightly packed into strip malls and shopping plazas. So popular with Indian students, it's woven into Punjabi hip-hop videos. As is the area's biggest school, Sheridan College. Its international student population soared by more than 30% in just 2 years, until the college slammed on the brakes in 2018, capping admissions for foreign students, worried about the lack of support systems for the newly arrived.
I would love to throw this open.
Sheridan has convened a roundtable with community leaders hoping to address the problems, but it's a thorny mesh of responsibility and jurisdiction, and the acute stress on students leaves many desolate. It proved too much for Lovepreet Singh. The 20-year-old jumped in front of a train last April after 3 years in Canada, leaving his family back home unconsolable. We're destroyed, his mother says. Somehow we pass the time. His father is at a loss to understand. We spoke daily, he says, but Lovepreet never told us anything was wrong. This is all they have left. The family sold their few acres of land to pay for their son's studies and borrowed heavily to keep sending him more and more money. Their dreams of a better life now shattered. Half a world away in Brampton, Bunty, starting afresh, knows his parents are also counting on him. He sits with family friends, leans on them for support. His first weeks in Canada have been overwhelming, and he's struggling to adjust.
I didn't know many people here, and in India, we usually become free and we do not have any stress, but here we need to manage everything with ourselves.
He's trying not to miss classes, trying to find a job. and navigate the stress of a life in Canada that's cold and lonely for so many. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Brampton.
Well, a historic New Brunswick museum is taking on an enormous task, packing up hundreds of thousands of artifacts.
Lila used to hang from the gallery here beside the model, and she's now been lowered and disassembled.
Up next, why these precious pieces of history face an uncertain future.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast, Front Burner, right-wing nationalist Viktor Orban has won his 4th consecutive election in Hungary. What his victory means for the future of the country. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
The New Brunswick Museum in St. John has been around for nearly 200 years, but now, exhibit by exhibit, its artifacts are being packed up and moved into storage. The museum building is no longer fit to house them. Water and mold pose a threat, and as Harry Forstell explains, with nowhere else left to go, that leaves an awful lot up in the air.
So this is Delilah, or at least this is Delilah's head. Delilah used to hang from the gallery here beside the model, and she's now been lowered and disassembled.
Museum curator Don McAlpine navigates a gallery littered with wooden pallets, bubble-wrapped bone, and packing materials. The museum's signature exhibit, the intact skeleton of a 47-foot right whale, the only one in the country, is in pieces right now, ready for storage.
So this is a very important scientific piece as well as a public education piece.
Removing Delilah is pretty simple, really. Getting her full-scale model out the door, well, that's another challenge altogether.
The model came through that door that's behind me with millimeters to spare.
On a scale of difficult, moving Delilah is the least of Don McAlpine's worries.
This is a fossil fern. I think it weighs roughly a ton.
Its one-time home is now a research and archive center, but even here, hallways and display areas bulge with boxes, a vast collection of curiosities.
So we're going down to an area that's now used for storing natural history collections. It wasn't designed to store these collections. You can see we have high ceilings, and it is right up to the ceiling.
The museum's fossil collection, with individual pieces ranging in size from a few ounces to a couple of tons, well, that will be a challenge, as will some of the research collection.
We've got 15,000 jars of pickled frogs and fish at the museum to deal with.
The museum's exhibit space is no longer satisfactory, according to board chair Kathy Hamer.
We had a major leak about a month ago, like 1,000 liters of water worth of major leaks.
In fact, the museum has been looking for new digs for more than 20 years and thought for a while the problem had been solved.
A lovely new building.
The new building would be on the city's waterfront, strategically located near the cruise ship terminals and incoming tourists. But within months, that promise had been undone by a newly elected cost-conscious Conservative premier.
This particular project, a decision had been made to cancel it.
Museum staff split their time between research and wrapping. The question now is, where will it all go, and when will it again see the light of day? Harry Forstell, CBC News, Fredericton.
Well, next, a BC family reunion with a surprise guest.
Oh no, we need to hold the log!
How a vacation turned into an animal rescue mission in our moment. Well, not exactly what you expect to find at your Airbnb. That is an otter crashing the Truax family reunion in British Columbia. So what started as a chance to catch up with relatives quickly turned into a rescue mission. It's our moment.
My extended family had come back up to Comox for a family reunion, and we are in an Airbnb overlooking the water at a big empty swimming pool. My aunt was just about to go out for a walk on the beach, and she saw the otter come up underneath the fence with a big fish in its mouth, and the otter flopped into the pool. It tried to scramble out of the pool, but the sides were too steep, and then we realized that the otter was stuck. So we tried to put the hose in, but then we realized its claws couldn't really grab onto the hard blue hose. And then I realized that the otter would be very comfortable climbing a log, so I walked down to the beach and grabbed a log, and then it was pretty happy.
So glad to see the otter make it out of there. It just wasn't its day, though, because apparently the otter had brought fish to that pool to eat. Maybe it thought it would be a nice place to have a meal. It escaped. The family brought the fish down to the beach, believe it or not, after that rescue, hoping it could have it, but then a pair of eagles swooped in and devoured the fish. That's National for this April 5th. Have a great night.